Okay, so it has been, I don't know about you guys, but it's been an incredibly intense week. For much of it, for me, it just seemed like a bit of a blur. Everything went past in a blur. The week went past in a blur. Half the time, I didn't know what day it was or what date it was. It's definitely there seems to be a real acceleration in the energies at the moment, and I think that's kind of what we're feeling. And it's at a pace that is difficult, I think, for us to manage. It's not to say that we're not going to be able to manage it. I think we're going to adjust to it and adapt to the energies, and we will manage it. But at the moment, it's at a pace that it's difficult to know where we are, what we're doing, and where we're going. So I kind of sat with it when I wasn't comatose on my bed. I kind of sat with it in the last couple of days and thought, you know, there must be something on a deeper level that is happening that is certainly making me feel so incredibly ungrounded and floaty and not really able to be present. And I've done quite a bit to ground myself. I've jumped in the ocean almost every day because thankfully we're allowed back on our beaches. I've been for walks. I've done all of the things that I know. I've eaten an incredible amount of food in the last 3 days in the hopes that that would help to ground me. And it felt like today I finally landed. And yesterday I was having this incredible pain in the base of my spine. It was a really, really unusual pain. And when I've tapped into it or felt into it, I was told that it was something about rooting into this new space that we've entered into. And then when I sat with quietly and kind of felt into the energies around what has been going on this week, I was told that this acceleration that has occurred in the last, I think it's actually been in the last few weeks, but this week it seemed to accelerate at quite a rapid pace. It's been initiated because there's an inner purge that is happening on the collective and within ourselves as well. And what is being cleared from us are some incredibly deep and toxic imprints. So when I look at imprints, working from an energetic perspective, imprints are something that influence our experiences and not necessarily in a good way. So the imprints that we're working through clearing at the moment are linked to old or past trauma that has been held within the collective and for centuries, really. And it is those imprints that we've almost absorbed from the collective as we were coming into this world. So on an energetic level, as our energy field developed as children, we absorbed a lot of these imprints, and they have influenced us and influenced our path in a quite a dramatic way, and have actually created a lot of the beliefs that we have around abundance, suffering. That idea that we have to suffer in order to get what we want or what it is that we need. This idea that I think it's less around abundance and more around that idea of scarcity consciousness. So these are the two main themes that seem to be happening at the moment. So you may have felt this week quite exhausted and depleted, but also really, really down around, how am I going to move forward? How am I going to make all of this happen? That we know instinctively or intuitively that this is a time of incredible potential, and yet how do we grasp that potential? How do we launch ourselves into it and take advantage of it? Because at the moment it just seems almost like it's just too much. It's it's taking too much energy from us. It's requiring too much energy from us. And I think a lot of us are struggling with trying to understand how do we work with this energy in a way that is going to help us take advantage of it. And I know for myself, there've been many times this week where I've put my head in my hand and thought, how are we going to do this? How, the world is in such a state. There's so much pain, there's so much suffering, there's so much toxicity. That's just on a collective a human level. And then I look at the planet and I think, how are we going to shift the damage that is being done to the planet? How are we going to clean the waters? How are we going to stop the littering? How are we going to stop the poisoning of the ocean? So I've had these kind of overwhelming feelings of I think of kind of sadness around what the state that we're in, and not knowing how to move beyond that. So when I sat with all of that in the last few days and really felt into this feeling that I was that was coming up in me, and it really was more sadness, and I was kind of thinking, well, is this part of the grieving process that I'm going through with regards to my brother? Because there is still that happening. As much as I would like to take that human experience of grief and kind of say, well, let's just accelerate through that process so I don't have to feel all of these things and go through all of these processes. Sadly, it doesn't work like that. So we do have to go through them. And so, part of me was feeling into, what is the sadness that I'm feeling? Is that related to my brother? Yes, it is. But also there's this deeper sadness. And it is the feeling of pain that I'm picking up, not just from the planet, but from the collective. But what I was shown is that this pain is actually coming up for us to let it go. It's almost coming up through the center of our being so that it can be purged out of our being and transformed and transmuted into something else. So I'm really hoping that in today's meditation, because as usual, I never know what we're going to be doing, I'm really hoping that we're going to be given some exercise that we can do to help to shift these feelings, because for me, certainly they're not helpful. There's a lot of stuff I'd like to get going on, and a lot of things I want to start and initiate, and I don't seem to have the energy to do so because I'm too busy feeling frustrated and angry and then sad and then exhausted and then depleted. And then there was a post I posted on Facebook by Jennifer Hoffman. If anyone follows her on social media, you would have seen she posted something about, 1 minute we're lying on the sofa exhausted, the next minute we're rushing around being able to do things and achieving things that we haven't been able to achieve for days or weeks or months, and then the next minute we're comatose again. So it is this real up and down energy. There doesn't seem to be any stability to it. So we have to find a way to create that stability within us, so that we can manage ourselves through this time. When I looked into the energies for the coming week and was really hoping that things were going to be shifting and we would be moving into a different type of energy, it feels like this energy is still going to be running through our week, although it may not be as intense as it has been, because now we perhaps have a better understanding of what it is, but also that we can find the tools that we need to manage ourselves through it. And I think that's really the key, is to find the things that can support us while we are doing this deep inner work. And the theme that was coming up for me this last week was also this concept of self-care and looking after ourselves and doing what it is that we need to do for ourselves. So again, that theme is running through this week. So there's a lot of energy that needs to be directed towards self-care. There is still this releasing and this purging that we are moving through, although it will start to lessen the closer we get to the new moon. And I think the new moon is on the 11th. So there should be a shift as this new moon happens. What I do know is there are going to be 6 or 7 planets in the sign of Aquarius, which is quite an expansive space to move into. So we're going to be very much working with that Aquarian energy. And like Elizabeth Rose spoke about a couple of weeks ago, is learning to speak Aquarian. So we really do have this opportunity to now learn how to speak Aquarian from this new moon that we're stepping into. And as I think I've joked about before, I always start the new year in February because I just think January is just too chaotic for me. And so with the new moon happening on the 11th, that really is the start of something new. We're stepping into something new from that moment. I think it's also the beginning of the Chinese New Year. So there's a lot of new energy coming in on the 11th. So really start to allow yourself to go through what you need to go through until the 11th. Just wallow in it if you need to. Just allow yourself to be immersed in it. Whatever the feelings are, whatever's coming up for you, just allow yourself to go through the process, knowing that come the 11th, you have an opportunity to shift yourself out of that and enter into a new cycle. So this new cycle will be obviously a new moon cycle, but it's also a new cycle that we're stepping into with regards to all of this Aquarian energy that is coming up over the next few weeks. Has anyone got any questions, anything they'd like to share before I move on? Sandra's just commented that she's feeling exactly the same.
Hi, Kate. Hi, everybody. I wrote to Kate about this, but earlier in the week, my best pal, David, came down with COVID, and he has been so sick, and he has underlying heart conditions, and so it has been just a terrifying week. But I woke up this morning and I reached out in every direction and said, prayers, please, healing, Reiki, whatever you can send. And yesterday I thought we were going to have to call the ambulance because, of course, I can't even go there and help him. And this morning he woke up and his temperature's down. His oxygen is at 98, which is good, very good. And he's doing much better. So it was not my best week on the planet, but I love a good happy ending. Hopefully, I know with COVID it can come back, but I just have a feeling he's turned the corner and he's going to be okay. So send good thoughts that he keeps healing, but he's been my best friend for 37 years. I can't imagine my life without him. He's gay, but he's my life partner, basically. So anyway, that was, and Kate, thanks for your kind words. It did help this week. I was just beside myself. So I'm breathing easier.
I'm really pleased to hear that he's doing better, Nancy. That is good news.
I was going to say, Nancy, my week started off, I mean, Kate, you and I did speak about this. I was feeling very sad, and a lot of grief seemed to be coming up. And it's extraordinary, though, in the last few days, it's as if I've stepped out of the treacle, the only way I can describe it. I feel much lighter. I feel far more positive. Whether it's I've got the purpose of the house being sold, I don't know. But I cleared 6 bin liners of clothes and shoes. Sorry, Jennifer, I had to just say that. But it's just one of those things that suddenly everything seems to be clearing. From that little step that I took last week, I then had emotional moments, but it suddenly feels like it's shifting. So all these things you're saying, Kate, about being exhausted was very much me last week. But for the last sort of 4 days, I mean, I'm riding high on the fact that suddenly I want to do things. I've got the motivation. Something feels like it's shifted. And it feels almost as if I've been really nostalgic this week as well. But in a nice way. So I feel contented and warm and cozy rather than lonely and on my own, which is really nice. It's a big shift. So thank you for that.
Good. I'm so pleased.
Yeah.
Good.
So, Fiona, I was going to say, I can see and feel the shift in you. The look in your face, your eyes, everything feels shifted. So,
well, I also did do a 4-day detox, but I think that was also part of it. Just a cleansing. I feel like I've left a skin behind. It's like a rebirth. Thank you. No.
You look great and sound great. You sound great.
Good. Well done, Fiona. I think there are a couple of people. Elise has been saying, feeling like I've been hit by a freight train over and over again, up, down, up, down. Me too. So Lorraine, you've asked here, tell us about the Aquarian energy aspects. Okay, I can do my best. I do wish Elizabeth Rose was here. She's much better at the astrology than I am. The Aquarian energy is certainly for me in the way that I feel about it. It's a lot more expansive than any of the other energies. It is an energy that calls to new ways of thinking, innovation, creative ways of thinking, finding creative solutions to problems. It asks us to look more to the future and less to the past. It is a futuristic type energy. So it really is about tapping into, if we can find the Aquarian energy within ourselves, it's about tapping into the I'm trying to find the right word to explain it. It's tapping into what we have brought as individuals for this new world that is being created, for this new reality that is being created. So it's very much opening up to that kind of energy within us, what is new and what is innovative, not the same old. The Aquarians always look for something different, and I've got quite a few Aquarian friends. I've got Aquarius rising in my own chart for anyone that understands that kind of astrology. And so we can be quite the fish that swims upstream while everyone else is swimming downstream. That's generally the Aquarian. I found a meme for a friend of mine who's got a lot of Aquarian in her chart, and it's one little person, and there's an entire crowd, and the crowds look like sheep, and they're all doing the same thing, and there's the one little person who's the Aquarian, who's doing her own thing, but nodding and waving at the, agreeing with everyone else, but still doing their own thing. So it is that feeling of change. Aquarians like change. They like to bring change. They don't like to follow the same old routines and paths that everyone else has done. It's about carving new paths. And it is very much about, for me, the word innovative, oh, no, I can't say it. Innovative, no, inventive is the word I was looking for. It's very much an inventive energy. So looking at ways to bring new things to life within yourself and also within your world. And it can be challenging for those people who like things to stay the same. So it can be really challenging for those. So it could be also why some of you are feeling the need to do the clearing out, because Aquarians don't really have an attachment to too much stuff. It's a part that drives my children insane because they're too scared to leave home just in case they come home and I've moved their bedrooms around and thrown stuff away, which I have been known to do. We're not really attached to too much. I hope that explains it. I'll try and find some more information and send it out on the mailing list this week. I see a few people here just mentioning some losses they've had recently. Sandra, I'm sorry to hear about your sister-in-law. And Natasha, your best friend, I'm sorry about that.
If I can add something on the Aquarius, I am not an astrology expert, but I get a lot of newsletters that try to explain it in English. And we're in the middle of an Aquarius stellium where there's like 4 planets. And the last time this happened was the hippie era,
Yes.
which is when I grew up. And so all this new energy, and it's very much centered around peace and joy. And around February 12th, which is the new moon and blah. So anyway, you can Google some of that. There's like tons of information out there about an Aquarius stellium, meaning having 4 planets all at one time in Aquarius. Lots of change. My thing says I'll be exhausted. I am.
You've also got a lot going on, Pat.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's actually 6 planets that are going to be in Aquarius this week. So it's 4 more, and this week we've got 6. Some people are saying that there's 7, but I'm not too sure about that. There's some conflicting information out there, and I think
it's a lot of active energy hitting us from multiple directions. Is kind of the way I get it.
Yeah.
It's like, and it could be affecting each of us in completely different ways, depending upon who we are, where we've been, all that other stuff.
Exactly. I also think of, that if we're stepping into this Aquarian age with all of this Aquarian energy hitting us, and it is all about the new, it does mean that any way that we are holding on to anything from the past, we have any attachment to anything from the past, that is where the discomfort is going to be. So those are anything from possessions to feelings, to thoughts, to programming, to patterns, to ideas, to viewpoints, to opinions. All of that is going to be challenged in us. Because we have to start thinking in a new way. We have to start viewing our lives in a new way. We have to start viewing the world in a new way, and we have to start viewing ourselves in a new way. And I mean, even if I just look at myself in this week of feeling the sadness of what I felt and having that head in my hands moment of like, how is this all going to change? That is a very old pattern and programming that I've had for most of my life. And as a child, always feeling, that there was just so much pain in the world that I couldn't ever see how things could change. So, looking and feeling that way, looking at it this week and feeling the feelings that I've had, I can definitely link that to something that I've carried with me my whole life. And it's definitely time for it to go, because it does influence me in a negative way. And it is something that I need to shift and release. Elise has just said, I like looking for that new you're talking about, but do feel the deep purging going on. Really sick of the old and its energies. I cannot see, only feel. I do not live in the past. Yeah, I'm pretty sick of it too. But it is definitely shifting. We've just got to allow it, and rather than becoming sucked into it and caught in the old energies as they are being released. I think the key is to ground ourselves back in the new energies that we've stepped into. And I think that, Fiona, that's something that you've managed to do. You've managed to get yourself out of that spiral of the past and back into this moment and into this time and into these new energies. So that's fantastic. We all just
on that point, Kate. I've had a lot of dreams where I think I've been releasing stuff in dreams, screaming souls, faces, crowds of people. It's almost like pain being let out. And even to the point of selling the house, I had this dream of a building, and almost all the foundations of under the building were just dug away, and it all kind of just vanished. It was like it was the earth was being churned. So it's been quite extraordinary how vivid the dreams have been as well. Is that usual to release things through dreams rather than just naturally go?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely do release things through our dreams. I think that our dream world can be incredibly informative because it can actually show us what we're working through on an unconscious level. And I've also had some really strange dreams this week. Things that I couldn't really unpack, other than just to say it's engaging with people and places from the past again. So it feels like, I often think when we're doing those kind of dreams, we're also unhooking ourselves from those experiences or from those people, from those places. So if we imagine that on an energetic level, we have these streams of energy that connect us to everything that we've ever engaged with, whether that be a person or a place or a thing. And when we are releasing the past, we almost need to unhook ourselves from all of these different things so that we free our energy up and bring it into this moment rather than keep it linked into the past. So often our dreams those kind of dreams will show us the things where we're pulling our energy back from that experience or from that person or from that place. And we can do it consciously. We can actually engage in that consciously by doing things like energetically scanning ourselves and seeing where are we still hooked into things. If you know that there's some significant event or a significant relationship in the past that you may be still connected to, allow yourself to really scan your body. So it's a simple exercise where you just sit comfortably, close your eyes, drop your awareness into your body, and with intention, feel where in my body am I connected still to that person or to that event. And then what you can do is focus on dissolving that energetic connection. So not about cutting it. I don't believe in cutting energetic cords. I think it's too traumatic and can cause a reaction in the other person. I do believe in dissolving connections. So if there's a connection that you have to someone from the past, feel in your body where that connection is. So if it's in your shoulder, for example, imagine that you're taking the connection from your shoulder and you're putting it into your heart center. And when it goes into your heart center, it is dissolving the connection, and you're connecting that person into the universal source energy rather than your energy. So that's a simple exercise that you can do that will help you.
Yeah, Kate, I love that. I do that as well. And I also go through and scan all the chakras and just see where it might be residing. And then you can kind of get a little bit more clue as to where it's coming from. I also wanted to mention, I did a webinar with Damien Wynn. I just found him recently. He's a energy healer, and he goes through and actually helps you heal energetic wounds from past lives. Might have been, an injury, a death, a traumatic event. And it's fascinating how when you do that, you can find some of your physical problems that you have now are related to those things. So, there's only so much work we can do at a time. It just takes time to get through all this. But I found a lot of insight and relief from doing that as well. So, adding that.
Great, thanks, Lorraine. I think, yeah, if you know where your those 7 key chakra points are, you can just tap into those points as well and just feel, what is sitting there that doesn't belong there anymore. For me, the heart center, the heart chakra is always a portal of universal energies, universal source energy, and it is a point that you can actually chuck everything into. So if you're feeling like there's any kind of toxic connection or toxic emotion or feeling that you're carrying, that's sitting somewhere in your physical body, if you just put it into your heart chakra, it's automatically transmuted by that source energy. You don't need to throw it outside of yourself, which generally what happens then is someone else picks it up. So rather process it through your heart center and allow it to be transformed there. It's not going to have any negative impact on you or anyone else else, and it also free up your own energy, and enable you to have more of your own energy. And if one of the things that I need to do almost on a daily basis, because I work with so many people on an energetic level, doing energy work, energy healings or clearings or whatever it is, I need to make sure that I'm not hooked into the people that I'm working with. So it is a daily practice that I need to do. So we can do it just for the feelings and the emotions that are coming up for us as well. And sometimes those feelings and emotions are not necessarily our own. They could be things that we've picked up from people that we love and people that we care about. We often feel that we are strong enough to take those on and help. It's not always appropriate, but sometimes we can't help ourselves. I know it's something that I've done on a regular basis, and it certainly isn't helpful, but I've had to learn to manage it within myself. So if you find yourself doing that, make sure that you're on a daily basis, especially now, while we're going through all of this intensity. Make sure to scan your field and make sure that you're not carrying anything that doesn't really belong to you.
Kate, just on that note, is there one of the meditations that you've sent us, the cleansing one, the one to do, or the clearing one, or is there something very specific for that? I don't know if you've got a link that.
That one that I've sent, the clearing one, is a good one to do.
But for the going through all the different chakras and things, I can't remember if that was on video or tape, or I can't remember.
There is one for the community group that there is one there.
Okay.
I'll go and re-listen to it and just make sure.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I'll see what I can do. Must have
Determined to stay here now. I've got here.
Kate, I just want to add to what Lorraine was saying about the ancestral clearing. I know last year I did the ancestral clearing with you, and it's very, very powerful as far as releasing. That you did a webinar. What was it? November? Somewhere?
Yeah.
September? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very powerful, and now I'm sincerely hoping that next weekend with the Accessing Your Soul will also add support to the fact that you've cleared whatever you're carrying from your ancestors, so that the ability to access your soul. So no pressure on your webinar next weekend, but yeah, let's hope it's going to be as powerful as the ancestral clearing that we did last year.
Well, I think it's I mean, I think we're clearing a lot of stuff all the time. So that webinar that we did, I did a few last year. And I'm probably going to be doing one at the end of this month again, because we are carrying a lot of ancestral stuff that we may not be aware of, and part of the imprinting that we're busy purging now is also linked to the ancestral stuff that we've inherited from our different bloodlines, because that is also part of what sits in the collective. And we have, as light workers, I suppose is the best term to use, as light workers, we have chosen to come in and to do this work for the collective and not just for ourselves. So it is something that we will work through until we don't need to anymore. And I think that as we move forward, we become accustomed to the work. We also become stronger. It's like building a muscle. So we're building muscle for what it is that we're engaging with. And the stronger that muscle becomes, the easier the work becomes, really. But at the same time as doing that work, we're also having to do the work of birthing the new. So we've got kind of two jobs going on at the same time, clearing the past and birthing the new. And I certainly, for one, wish that we could just focus on birthing the new, because I'm pretty sick of the past, but it doesn't seem to be the way that we can do it.
Kate, just talking about building up the muscles, earlier when you were saying that you think, oh, how are we going to clear up the oceans and how are we going to purify the air and all that. It's also been a big bugbear of mine for as long as I've become conscious of pollution. And during the course of last week, I also, head in hands, how are we going to do this? I thought, as you build a muscle, you do a little exercise at a time. And although you live in your life without doing or doing as little damage as you can, you also need to start speaking about it. And just those little bits to build a muscle, to build a muscle, to build a muscle. And I've found a lot of people are coming to me and saying, well, what about this? And how do we do that? And then we all shoot off and go and find out how can we and where can we support. So yeah, just that little bit that you can do. And perhaps, you know, instead of looking at it and saying, how are we going to do this? How are we going to stop the littering? How are we going to clean up the oceans and the air? And just do that little bit that you can. So yeah, build the muscles on that too.
Exactly. I met with someone this week who does quite a lot of environmental work, and yeah, talking to him, it's incredible what is still kind of going on. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, just in the work that I do and the people that I connect with, it's mostly like-minded people who are on a similar journey to me, and I forget that there are still these greedy corporations out there that are still attempting to destroy the environment, and I also forget that there are people who don't think about the consequences of their actions. You know, they're only living for today, which is in one aspect what we should be doing, but with regards to the earth, we need to think about what we do today and the consequences that will have on future generations. But there are certainly ways of, and part of the discussion I was having this week was that there are certainly ways of us being able to transform and transmute the damage that has been done to the planet from an energetic perspective, and more of those teachings are going to start coming out and emerging through different people. The indigenous people already have those tools and that ability. So we just need to start opening ourselves up to learning from them and discovering those ways, so that we can actively start working with them too, because I think that they're pretty simple and pretty easy. One of the ones that I know about the water is that we are, again, working with our heart chakra, our heart center, which is an incredibly powerful energy. When you step into water, and that could be whether you're stepping into a shower or getting into a bath or stepping into a river or a lake or an ocean, if you do that, as you step into that water, focus on opening your heart center and expressing through your heart the energy of love to the water. Apparently it is incredibly transformative and can transmute a lot of the negative energies that, or the toxins that are sitting in the water. And we all, I mean, for anyone who knows about Dr. Emoto and his work that he did around water consciousness, we know that if we just intend or put energy into the water, we can shift the energy of the water. So we can do that just when we're getting into a bath or into the shower. I think I've mentioned before, I've got a friend who tapes words to all of her taps. So she's got love and joy and abundance and all these different words taped to her taps, so that the water through the pipes is being changed by these words. I've always loved that about what she's doing. Okay, anyone else have any questions?
I just wanted to add one more thing. I did the soul webinar with Kate yesterday, and this was the second time I've done this type of thing with you, and the progress between the two was amazing, because the first time when we went into the heart, I was in a healing chamber. I had so much to heal, and this time I was in like this beautiful enclosure of nature, and there was a stream, and I did this whole healing thing that Kate's talking about with the water, and it rose up and kind of cleansed me and baptized me. It was beautiful. So anyone, I recommend them joining in. It was great. I think part 2 is next week. So I loved it.
Thank you. It was a beautiful session yesterday, and I hope you recognize the progress that you've made from the last one, because it's that I love that there's been such an incredible difference between the first experience and the second experience, because it really does show your progress, and that there has been progress, which is really good. Okay, any other questions? Anything else anyone would like to share? I'm just checking my notes that I had for today's session.
Kate, I just want to say thank you to everything that you said just now, because I honestly thought that I'm losing my mind for the last 2 weeks, actually. Seriously, going completely bananas. Afraid of everything. I mean, you know me quite well. I mean, I'm normally a really strong person, and I don't get really sort of weak by a lot of little things. But these last 2 weeks really rocked my soul. It was just like, it was so disturbing, and I was crying for everything that for the earth, for the trees that got cut off. I walk in the forest every day 3 times, and I cry when I see falling trees, or when one is lying down, and it's just it's so emotional this past 2 weeks. And like you mentioned, and some of you mentioned that you had really hectic dreams, and I can just agree with that. Same here. And today was the first day that I actually started sort of almost cleansing, like I cleaned my house like I normally do, and then I started cleansing it, with the smoke and with all sorts of things. And I jumped into the shower, put the salt on my head like you showed me. Then I walked in the forest, and I did the breathing that from the roots up to the top out, and all the stuff that I learned from you over the last years that we've been working together. I tried to put in one day, I must say, but almost unconscious. It was just happening. So I really hope for the shift that you were saying, because I think it's time. It really is. But thank you very much for saying that, because I actually thought I'm losing my mind. Thanks, guys.
Well, I do love that you try to do everything all in one day. I know that feeling. Try everything, just something's got to work. Something's got to shift the energy. But thankfully, I think it is going to start to lighten and get a little easier as we get to the new moon on the 11th. And I think it's the 11th and the 12th. There are 3 days where we have the new moon or the full moon and new moon energy. So that's the day before, the day of, and the day after. So we have 3 days where this energy will begin to shift, and it will start to lighten up. And I'm hoping that it'll be a bit like all this stuff, the heaviness of the last few weeks really does clear, and we can start to see our way moving forward. I think I mentioned last week as well that we've been shifting timelines, and that also seems to be something that we're doing. We're releasing a lot of things that I always say to people, there are often 5 paths that we can take. There's never one path that we can take. There are often 5, as many as we have things. 5 paths. And I think that what we've been going through in the last couple of weeks as well has been a releasing of some of those paths. It's almost like we've been trying to align ourselves with the best and the highest version of ourselves, and the best and the highest path that we can take moving forward. So we've been eliminating a lot of things that on a soul level we probably agreed to and decided to do, but now that we're in it, we've been given the opportunity to release ourselves from those contracts or obligations or choices that we made on that level, because they're no longer relevant. That can also be quite disorientating because, you know, from a soul perspective, and this is something that I've never really seen before. What I've always seen and what I've always known to be true is that from a soul perspective, we have a destiny, and that destiny has been predetermined before we were even born. So that map that our soul has exists, and we are following it every day and every moment of our lives. But within that map exists these choices and these different opportunities that we can take advantage of. And what I'm seeing now is almost like the map is being, just trying to, the map is almost being simplified. So it's a lot, you know, all the different complications or complex choices and paths, and it's all of that is being released, and it's almost like our journey is being simplified. The choices that we have are being simplified rather than being too complicated or too complex, or even too confusing. So that's exciting. I could certainly do with some simplifying my life. Natasha, I like this. 12/02/2021 seems to be a cool number in terms of reflection and a moment in time to start afresh. Yes, I like that. It's also a 10. If you add all the numbers up, it adds up to 10. So 1 is new beginnings and 0 is pure potential. So that's also exciting. I like those numbers. I often think if you see numbers like 12/21 or 13/31 or 14/41, you see those numbers, it's often you're at a choice between destiny and fate. You know, are you going to choose your destiny or are you going to choose your fate? Well, are you going to choose your destiny or are you going to allow fate to take over? Rather than choosing your fate, I don't think we choose our fate. Okay, I think that's all I've got to share for this coming week. Shelly's just said, Kate, can you define timeline? I have a vague notion but need more clarity. So timeline, for me, it is those 5 choices that we have. The lines are things like, if we take this choice, this is the timeline that we will follow. These are the things that will happen along that path. If we take this one, it's a different timeline. I mean, that is the simplest way I can explain it. But what we're doing now is we're choosing the most direct and the simplest timeline possible that will enable us to achieve what it is that we need to achieve at this time. So what is no longer needed, those other choices or those other paths that are no longer needed, are the timelines that are falling away. And the timeline that we're starting to follow now, or the simplified version, is kind of what is rising to the surface and that we're going to be able to move along. If you can imagine, I mean, I always see it as a freeway. So I always see all these roads in front of me, and some of them are brightly lit and other ones are not so brightly lit, and some of them are clear and the road seems smooth and it seems to be heading in a direction that doesn't have too many bumps or curves, and then other ones are, you know, little paths, although that's probably the ones I take, the path through the woods that, you know, I have to move through bushes, and that's definitely the one that I normally take. I'm trying to find the one that is clear and has no obstacles and has no bushes and trees and things I have to move through. Yes, so like probabilities, yeah. So we're choosing the best and the highest for us right now. I like that, Lorraine. I feel like that the collective is choosing timelines also. I agree. And I think that, this is the other thing with the experience of what we're having right now with the virus as well, is that, this virus is an opportunity for some people to choose to leave. As difficult as that may be to accept, everyone has a choice, a couple of choices of when they're going to leave. And some people choose accidents, some people choose suicide, and other people choose disease. And so the virus is almost something that the collective is being offered. And this is just one aspect of it. I think that there are many aspects to it. This is just one. I think it is an opportunity for people to choose, I'm out. I can't do this for whatever reason. I mean, we don't know their reason. They may decide that actually what they want to do is come back when the new is in place, rather than and be a part of the building of the new. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment in this. It is a choice. So I think that some people are choosing that timeline. And I also, my homeopath has always taught me that illness is an opportunity for transformation, and death is also a transformation. And if we can allow illness to be used as something, as a process of transformation for us, we come out of that being incredibly strong in more ways than we can possibly imagine. Both of my children managed to get measles at one point in their lives, and were incredibly sick. And I was pretty scared because they had really high temperatures and they really were not well. And I remember phoning my homeopath in a complete panic and saying, I don't know what to do and I don't know how to help them. And she said, "Oh, this is so exciting. I'm so happy for them." I was not pleased with her response, and but she explained about how incredibly powerful the measles virus was going to be for them, and how they would come out of this much stronger on a spiritual level and on a physical level, that their immune system would be incredibly strong as a result of it. And they did. It was an initiation of some kind for both of them. And they were different afterwards, in a good way. So I think we need to remember these old ways of viewing illness, rather than looking at it as the end, or something awful. We can start to look at it as something that someone is using as a portal for transformation. And some people, that transformation will be overcoming the illness and getting better and becoming stronger. For others, it's going to be the transformation into the next world, or into the next life, which is also exciting, because death is definitely not the end. It's just a new beginning. Okay. Well, let's see if we can find some relief in our meditation. If everyone's ready for that. So just allow yourself to settle into a comfortable position. And when you're ready, closing your eyes. And allow yourself to focus on your breath, focus on your breathing. And just take a few deep breaths and allow yourself to settle into this moment and into this time. Settling into your body. And allow yourself to let go of any tension, any stress. Go of any worries and any concerns that you are holding on to at the moment. Just allowing your body to become relaxed. Allowing your mind to still. And allow a feeling of calm and peace to begin to flow through you. And now moving your awareness to your heart center. And just feeling your heart center opening and expanding. And allow yourself to feel the golden light as it begins to shine in the center of your heart. And feeling that light expanding. And allow the light to begin to move down your body from your heart center, moving down into your torso, to your stomach, down through the body, feel it resting and moving into your hips, to your base, to your pelvic area. Feel this golden light begin to move down your legs and into your feet. Now feeling it begin to move from your heart center up into your chest, into your shoulders, down your arms and into your hands. Moving up and into your neck and your throat, into your jaw, to your mouth, your cheekbones, your eyes, your forehead, and all the way to the crown. And just allowing this golden light to flow in and around your body. allowing it to transform, transmute any negative or toxic energy that you're carrying at the moment. Allowing it to dissolve any imprints that are being held in your energy field at this time. Allow it to dissolve away the feelings of frustration, anger, sadness. Any pain that you are feeling at this time. And allowing this golden light to expand outwards, expanding your energy field, strengthening your energy field. And now allowing this golden light to ignite within you feelings of hope, faith, of joy, peace. And as those feelings are ignited, feel the energy of them permeating your entire body and being. Feel yourself becoming lighter and your energy becoming brighter. And in your mind's eye now, see yourself standing in a beautiful space in nature. And really allow yourself to connect to the space. Feel and see its beauty. Feel the connection that you have to the earth. Feel how nature restores and replenishes you. See and feel how nature supports you. And give thanks. Now taking a few deep breaths, just bring your awareness back into this time and into this space. Becoming aware of the physical space that you are in, physical form. Move your fingers and your toes, and you can open your eyes when you're ready. I hope that helped everyone to feel a little bit lighter. Thank you, Sandra. You too. Fiona didn't want to come back. Me neither. Definitely have stayed there. All right. Okay, what I'll do is I'll see if I can download the audio of that one as well and send that out to everyone. It's something we can do regularly. And hopefully it'll keep us going for the next few days while we head towards the new moon. Hopefully a good shift. I like this, Nina. I learned some time ago that what you do to yourself, you do to the earth, and what you do to the earth, you're doing to yourself. That is true. We definitely have, Lorraine. We can do this. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining me again, and I hope you have a beautiful week. and a good new moon. And I will see you all next week.
While you jump in the ocean, keep in mind, we're just starting a snowstorm up there that's supposed to go until tomorrow morning.
I'm planning to go and jump in the ocean right now. It's pretty hot here.
I think I'll just stay in and hide from the snowstorm. Bye, everybody.
That's a good plan, Nancy. And lots of love to David, and
Thank you.
may he
Thanks.
continue to strengthen over the next few days, and hopefully by next week be out of hospital.
No, he actually never went to the hospital. Thank you, God. No, he did all this home alone. That was what was so scary. And I know everybody has the time to transition, but I wasn't really ready for this to be his. So
It didn't feel like it's his time.
so thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and I'll see you all on Sunday. Lots of love.